The Athletic are reporting that West Ham United are set to make a move early doors for Keane Lewis-Potter, the Hull City winger. We've been linked to him for ages. We discussed him in the last couple of weeks. But the Athletic are reporting today that David Moyes has made up his mind already. That's someone that he wants this summer, that West Ham will be making a move early doors for him, which is interesting. I think that's interesting. But anyway, video number 2 this evening. You've probably noticed I did a video on Declan Rice a couple of hours ago. Do check it out if you haven't already. It'll be up on your screen at the end of this video. But the reason I'm doing 2 tonight is because I want to discuss this topic. I want to discuss Lewis-Potter, but also the left wing position, if you like, and what it suggests for some players already at West Ham United. But I don't want to do it tomorrow. From tomorrow onwards, I just want to look forward to the Frankfurt game. I want to get excited. Don't want to be discussing transfer rumours. So I'm squeezing it in tonight, and then tomorrow all about Frankfurt, and I can't wait. Anyway, at the end of this video, a little bit of self-indulgent stuff, if you don't mind. Nothing important. It's not news or anything. Just a little something. Anyway, Keane Lewis-Potter. Let's get into it. So the Athletic are reporting essentially that David Moyes has made up his mind. He wants Lewis-Potter. 18 million is the price that's likely going to take to get him out of Hull City. The price that will suit both parties, and that's the fee going around for him. And I have to say, I think it's pleasant news all round, actually. I'm quite happy by this, should it be factually true, and I think it adds up. Sometimes when I see these rumours, if you like, I dismiss them quite easily, as you know. But for this one, I believe it. We know Easter Monday, we know that David Moyes was in attendance at Millwall against Hull City to watch Lewis-Potter, and I think that's important. I always think that, especially in this day and age, and especially someone like David Moyes, he will have done all his research beforehand. His scouts will have been to see him. The data people have provided all the numbers. Probably done his Moyes MOT test behind the scenes. Everything is done. The final hurdle is David Moyes would like to go watch him in person to make up his mind. Moyes is gone. He played well enough that game, I believe. But this weekend, it's just past. He scored 2 goals against Reading. Neil Mellor was Sky Sports reporter at the game, said he was by far the best player on the pitch. Said he was just brilliant at the weekend. So Moyes has a other scout there again. You'd imagine this is getting rubber stamped at the minute. But part of the reason I believe this, so that's part of the reason I believe we've got interest in him. The fact that Moyes is there in person almost confirms interest. I'm aware there's other players he's potentially looking at, so on and so forth, but I think it's fair to say that Keane Lewis-Potter is probably the one Moyes is having a look at. But not just David Moyes. And this is why I believe the Athletics report today that we are hurrying up with this deal, actually, because Thomas Frank was there in person. Now, there's some reports he was having a look at one of the youngsters for Millwall who's expected to move to the Premier League. But what we know factually is that last summer Brentford bid 8 million for Keane Lewis-Potter, obviously got rejected. He's then gone on to have a really good campaign in the Championship, really stepped up this season. He's got better as the campaign's gone on as well. And I think it'd be foolish to suggest that Brentford haven't been keeping an eye on his progress. And I think Thomas Frank going in person, Moyes would have known this. Moyes would have met him there probably. I wonder if that's maybe just sped David Moyes up a little bit and thought, right, we need to get ahead of Brentford. Spurs had their chief scout there as well, watching a couple of the players. They were believed to be after Greaves, the Hull City centre-back, but they've also been linked to Lewis-Potter as well. And Hull City have never said he's not for sale. Hull City, if anything, have encouraged bids. I've almost just said, I'm not sure 20 million will get him out of Hull this summer. A year to go, they've got to sell him. He's going to move. Lewis-Potter is almost guaranteed to move to a Premier League club this summer. The question is who, when, and how much. Well, we're getting the rough idea of how much. 18, 25 million, in that bracket somewhere. I think 18 million is a good deal. 20 million is what the Hull City owners saying it might not be enough. It's not exactly a strong statement, is it? It also may be enough as well. So 20 million-ish is the price that he's going to go for. It's just a case of who. And this is where speed's important, I think. Showing your hand early, putting the bid in early doors, and almost calling out Brentford and possibly Tottenham, who at the minute are a bit uncertain as to what's happening next season with the manager. Rumours are believed around Antonio Conte today. So we've got a bit of an advantage, West Ham. Moyes has wanted him for a while. He's done his research for a while as well. I actually believe this. I believe this report from The Athletic that we want him. And like I said, I think Thomas Frank being in attendance at the same game might have not necessarily spooked Moyes. I'd imagine Moyes is quite confident that we'd be able to lure any player in over Brentford, and we should. At the minute we've got European football. We're on course for European football next season. So I'd imagine Moyes would be quite comfortable that he would be able to persuade a player to join West Ham over Brentford. But you don't want a bidding war. And I think this is one thing that Moyes can't afford to drag his feet on and get this target done, get the board on it, and it'd be nice to see this one tied up before the end of the season. If anything, Championship season, of course, comes to a conclusion very soon. Next weekend. Next weekend. There's only 2 games left anyway. So the Championship's coming to a conclusion soon, which means that essentially you're not distracting him from anything, are you? But Hull are not skint. Hull owners reasonably wealthy, I believe, so therefore they're not desperate to sell him as such. But with 1 year to go, he's going to be on the move. Now, what does this say for West Ham? Well, first of all, I think he's a fantastic player by it. I say he's a fantastic prospect is how I would word it. I'll be honest with you. I think Brennan Johnson, he gets compared to Brennan Johnson of Nottingham Forest a lot, understandably. 2 youngsters playing on the wing. Different players though, different positions. Brennan Johnson's a right winger, right footer on the right wing, can play up front as well, whereas Lewis-Potter's right footed on the left wing. Gets compared to Jared Bowen a lot, which I think's a bit, I understand it, coming from Hull City is the most obvious thing, but he's not really the same player in my opinion. I think the style of Lewis-Potter is a bit more Hazard, with a low centre of gravity, tricky, likes to cut in, likes to shoot from distance as well, fast. He's got a lot going for him, but I'm more confident that Brennan Johnson would step up to the Premier League next season than what Lewis-Potter would. So I think if we got him, we'd have to be patient with him. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually think West Ham are currently lacking 1 or 2 players, a bit like Brennan Johnson really, that are in their young 20s who can get 10, 15, 20 games a season. They'll be happy with that, and you'd expect them to go on the following season and stake a claim in the first team, because we don't really have players like that bar Ben Johnson essentially. But I think he's made that step up. Of course, we then look to the academy. We're looking at Harris Ashby, Elise, Alcoflex, thinking, well, they could be that person, but they don't have enough first team football under their belt, do they? Lewis-Potter does, but the difference between him and Jared Bowen, while moving potentially to West Ham United, is the experience. Jared Bowen had some Premier League experience. He had more experience in the Championship for Hull than what Lewis-Potter currently does. He's essentially had 2 seasons in the Championship, one really good one and one decent one, and an excellent one in League One. So I'm not. Is Lewis-Potter ready for the Premier League tomorrow? I'm not 100% confident he is, I think we've got to give him a little bit of time. Do I think he will be one day? Yes, I do. I think he will step up. But this is why I don't mind this move, because Moyes is showing, with pretty much every attacking player we've signed, to be honest with you, that he will be patient, that he will almost put the baby veins on them. Jared Bowen himself came in and he was the most sub player in the Premier League that season, I believe. Certainly towards the end of the season, statistically, he was the most sub player. Our mark, but Bowen's number would go off. Then obviously last season, that stopped. This season, he's sort of Hammer of the Year, or potentially Hammer of the Year. We saw last season with Saeed Benrahma. Again, Moyes would put him in, take him out, sub him on, sub him off. Very, very patient with him, easing him in. Vlasic this season, again, no pressure on Vlasic, easing him in, giving him game time as and when. And it is frustrating as a fan, because you think, I wanted to see more of Vlasic last season, I wanted to see more of Benrahma, and the season before I wanted Bowen to stop getting substituted. But that's how David Moyes manages. So to have somebody that will be 21 years old, that is capable of playing in the Premier League, but not without the pressures of having to perform week in, week out, like he's currently got at Hull City, and he's coping with at Hull City. I think that's what we need. I think we need 1 or 2 players like that, actually, that might not be ready just quite yet, but can do a job. But in a couple of years' time, when they're still early 20s, they're more than good enough. I think it's almost like a risk-free signing to some extent. It's expensive, 18 million, it is pricey, but if it doesn't work out, you could probably still sell him and get most of your money back, or loan him out for a year, getting that experience under his belt and then take him back in. So there you go, Keane Lewis-Potter coming to West Ham United, possibly. I do believe it though, and what's encouraging me perhaps is that Moyes has already decided one of his targets. This does spell bad news for Saeed Benrahma though, in particular. I think he's had his card marked. I think the jury's been out with the fan base. I think the jury's been out with Moyes. Maybe not as much as the fan base if you want. But again, another performance against Chelsea this time round where Benrahma sort of failed to impress a little bit. And it doesn't make him a bad player, Benrahma. Benrahma's a good player. we're just not seeing it. I don't think Moyes is the right manager for him. I don't think he's the right player for David Moyes. And funnily enough, the best club for him to go to would be Brentford. So you could almost see a little transfer triangle happening here, couldn't you? Where we get Lewis-Potter, then Brentford come in and get Benrahma off us. Put it like this: would you swap? If I offered you now a straight swap, Benrahma goes out, Lewis-Potter comes in. I'd imagine most of the fan base would take it, because I think a lot of the fan base have seen enough from Said Benrahma and perhaps have decided that it's not going to work for him at West Ham under David Moyes. And like I said, it does not make him a bad player. I'm not suggesting he's rubbish or anything like that, Benrahma. It's just not worked out for him at West Ham under David Moyes. And he's been here a while now. So while I said Moyes is patient, I think Moyes has been patient enough with Said Benrahma. I wouldn't call him a passenger or anything, but we need better next season. We need more from every player in the squad. I feel like this season we've squeezed as much as we can out of the boys. So next year we've got to make sure there's more to squeeze, if you like. I'm not sure if Said Benrahma is going to be part of that. Anyway, before I do my little self-indulgent bit, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it and subscribe if you're new. If you don't want the self-indulgent bit, I'll catch you tomorrow with the Frankfurt game stuff. But if you do, I just want to say a massive thank you to some of you lot, because I've started ages ago. I started my own channel called Tars and Geo, where I was just going to do generic Premier League stuff, and some of you went over straight away to subscribe. I did nothing on it for about 6 months, and like a few weeks ago I thought I'm just gonna had a bit of time on my hands one day, did a video, did okay, actually did really good. It was like about Arsenal. I had over 2,000 views, which was fantastic for me. And then anyway, done it for a couple of weeks. I did a Newcastle video the other day. Someone was over 16,000 views. It's mental for me, absolutely mental, ridiculous. But I just want to say a massive thank you to those who did jump over to the channel, because in the other videos, the ones that only get 100 or 200 views, it's mainly subscribers of Hammers Chat in the comments supporting me, essentially. I know you don't really care about what I think about Son Dyche getting sacked, or the fact that I think Kulusevski is a fantastic January signing for Spurs, but people have tuned in, watched the videos, and subscribed and commented. It means a lot to me. I think sometimes Gonzo's a bit better at doing the touchy-feely stuff than I am. Just type of man he is, I guess. But I'm not very good at it. But it does mean, stuff like this does mean a lot to myself, Gonzo, and Charlie as well. When, you know, if your video does badly, you do get a bit, but your video does really good, you also get a bit of a boost from it as well. So I guess, long-windedly, thank you very much. If you haven't already checked it out, I'll leave it in the description in the comments. Don't know what I'm doing this week, but it will be a video about Newcastle, but I feel like I should do a video about Newcastle. I might just turn it into a Newcastle channel. The views have done quite well, haven't they? But I don't know what I'll do. It's just generic Premier League stuff, so I've just mentioned some of the videos that I've done recently. Right, now I'm going to disappear. Tomorrow night, myself and Gonzo will be previewing the Frankfurt game. I may have a video tomorrow morning or Wednesday morning with somebody about Ben Johnson. I'm looking forward to it, actually. Then Wednesday night we should have a video with the Euro expert who will be talking about the Frankfurt game. Then obviously Thursday we'll have the match day stuff. Right, now I'm going to shut up and disappear. Apologies. Thank you very much. Catch you in a bit.